All right. What's going on? Welcome to another edition of Hustlers Kung Fu Live, where we're going to be talking about Candace Owens going in on George Floyd and Germany's 3.2 to 4% unemployment rate, and why is that going down, plus a whole lot more. We got a lot of stuff that we're going to jump into this morning. I know it's been a while since I've done a live stream. The live streams are not going to be daily anymore. I'll even talk about that. But as always, this live stream was brought to you by HustlersKungFuLifeSkills.com. Go there and get 30 days to 2,500, the free how to get your side hustle, how to turn that into your real hustle course. And also, you can join the Facebook group. It's 30 days to 2,500. You can get in there and network and talk to people who are going through the course with you. The Facebook group is free. The course is free. Go ahead and grab that. All right? It's there for you. So let's do a little bit of housekeeping here. Gotta do something real quick. All right. So that is on its way. I don't know if you guys know about this, but Candace Owens was recently on Glenn Beck's show where she said that George Floyd was not a good person. And she was dismayed by that he's being held up as a martyr. Now, I don't know if she saw the same videotape that I saw and you saw, where George Floyd was on his side, he was handcuffed, and this cop had his knee on his neck. Now, did George Floyd have a criminal past? Yes, he did. He went to jail. And this is kind of one of the issues with people who try to reform their lives. It's like, once you went to jail, you're just trash forever. And apparently George had stopped doing what he did that got him in jail. Was a truck driver. He was a bouncer. He was working on a decent life. And I feel that, we've all done wrong at one times or another. There's many of us who have done criminal things, but because we didn't get caught, we didn't go to jail. So, and many people just stopped doing these bad things. They stopped doing criminal things and they became productive citizens. So I'm not going to, because for me, the fact that he wasn't struggling, he was on his side, he was in handcuffs, and this cop had his knee on his neck. I don't get that. I mean, that was just pretty much a show of force. That was pretty much just evil. It was evil. I mean, when you put your knee on someone's, you got someone, their hands are and that's the point of this. It isn't what George Floyd did in his previous life. It is what happened at that moment in time. This is what all this is about. Because when we talk about police brutality, we don't say that the criminals were innocent. It's just, hey, the police are not supposed to treat people a certain kind of way. That's it. That's what this is about. And this was one of the clearest cases of abuse. He wasn't fighting. It was 4 cops. The other 3 cops were not even on George, which indicates that, that he wasn't resisting arrest. And this man died because of police brutality. That's what this is about, Candace. And this whole, because, you know what happens. Someone will get caught up, and next thing you know, you found that he cheated on the test in the 3rd grade. Or all of this character assassination stuff starts to come out. And it's crazy. It is just crazy. And I'm just sitting there. George Floyd was not a good person. Well, Candace, most of America does not agree with you because I'm about to show y'all some stuff that's going to blow your mind. I found this morning. You know, the George Floyd, let me make sure we still have sound. The George Floyd GoFundMe campaign is at $13.5 million. And also, that's just for the George Floyd Memorial. His daughter's campaign is at $1.8 million. So that means, Candace, that a lot of people don't agree with you because George Floyd was a man. I don't really know, because, it's a little crazy because it's like essentially he was trying to cash a counterfeit $20 check. This man died over $20. $20. And I don't know the circumstances. I don't know if the check was counterfeit or not. I don't know all the circumstances. But do you deserve to die? If it was a counterfeit check and he got in trouble and whatever the law was going to hand to him, I can deal with that. But did the man deserve to die? Did he deserve to die for this small transgression? And, it's funny. How many of you let's see, let me come out. I'm going to find something. How many of you seen an episode of Cops? And what do you see on virtually every episode of Cops? You see white people wilding out, fighting the cops, running from the cops, punching the cops, but you never have ever seen a white person executed on an episode of Cops. It's never happened. And I mean, you see literally driving, doing all kinds of crazy stuff. So it's real interesting how people are taking this, and people are literally protesting around the world. There are a lot of people who are deep in their feelings about this, Candace. And the fact that, because, his character, because this is what is usually happens. Like I said, he cheated on his third grade spelling test. He pushed Becky down on the, any and everything. Kind of like what happened with the guy who was killed in Georgia. He was literally walking around his house. Apparently there's no evidence of him stealing anything. He was just, and I will tell you that that's something that I've done. Like, I'm in a new subdivision, because this is something people do. Like, there's a new subdivision, they're building a house, you'll stop and you'll walk around the house. It's normal behavior. People do it all the time. I've done it. I can't tell you how many times. Like, sometimes I actually forget that I'm black, and I will go out. I was in this $1 million subdivision, and there was these houses they were building, and I just parked my car and started walking around. I ain't think nothing of it. Other people, and I parked my car, and then there was this couple that they parked their car, and they were looking at us like, "Hey, how you doing?" I was like, "How you doing?" "Yeah, we're looking at houses." Everybody was looking at houses. It's not an uncommon thing for people to walk around half-built houses. And, they made us like, "Oh God, he was walking around the house. He was walking around this house. He had ill intent." And, it's crazy how these little things become these huge transgressions and indicators of character. It's funny. And to the person who was like, Donald Trump actually invoked the departed spirit of George Floyd in his jobs report. So I don't know what that comment was about. It was a bad look. I know you Trump people hate it when I talk bad about Trump, but that was just tacky, as we would say in the South. That was just tacky. Well, just a good day. George is looking down on us. That's just tacky. Tacky, tacky, tacky. But, these riots are still going on. People are still burning stuff. People are still looting. Now, I don't agree with the looting. I don't agree with the attack upon small business because small business already got punched. And this isn't going to help small business. This is going to make matters worse because they were already down and closed and not making money. Now many small businesses have been destroyed. There was this Popeyes that was burnt down. I don't get that. I don't get that. Like someone sent me a notice that like 200 people went to the cop's house and they were trying to protect the cop's house. So that to me makes more sense than burning down a Popeyes or going to Tesla and driving a Tesla through. That doesn't make sense to me. So we got a lot of stuff that is going on. A lot of stuff that is going on, and it is crazy what is happening here in America. But I will probably you can go to the Glenn Beck channel and watch the conversation because I don't really think what George Floyd did before that moment matters. It was what happened in that moment is what matters. And that's why people are protesting. And that's why people are going off. Because I don't even know what that comment. He was not a good person. How do you know, Candace? Did you know George Floyd? Because, like I said, a lot of people seem to think the dude was okay. A lot of people have nothing bad to say about George. He did some bad things early in life and he paid his debt to society and we moved on. So Candace, I don't get this. He was not a good person. He was an example of this and this. And it's almost like it's okay that he was dead. It was okay he was killed. I mean, that's just crazy to me. But who is this? Candace Owens is a GOP puppet. The GOP's got its hands up her intimate parts and manipulates her mouth because only she could have said something so tone deaf at such a time where people are laying their anguish out in the streets. I'm like, he was not a good person. Why the character assassination? Because George Floyd was killed by a cop who wasn't resisting arrest. And by the laws of this country, that ain't supposed to happen. Dylan Roof, the guy that killed all those people in the church, got treated with more respect than George Floyd. Dylan Roof, a murderer. The cops took him to Burger King or something like that. This dude was a murderer and got treated with more respect than the man who was attempting to cash a check. You're just trying to weigh it out. It's like, that doesn't make any sense. That's a little crazy. That's a little nuts. But I think Candace is the epitome of tone deaf. She's a GOP talking point. She's a puppet. She's going to, and these are the conversations that they're having over there. And essentially, I'm going to tell you a story. Years ago, I used to work with someone, and this happened in their neighborhood. It was East Cobb, and it's a well-to-do neighborhood. Probably these houses are $1 million houses now. And these little white kids got it in their head to go around and destroy these mailboxes. And I think they destroyed like 35 of them. And these mailboxes were brick mailboxes. So it took a lot to destroy them. And I was thinking at the time it was $2,000 to $3,000 to repair them. So these kids cost $90,000 worth of damage. And the cops caught them. Did the cops arrest them? Nope. Uh, the cop who caught the main kid knew who the kid was, knew his father, and they took the kid home. And it was like, this is what they did, and it's going to be a lot of money to fix this. And the father had to shell out, and all of the kids' fathers had to shell out about $25,000 apiece to repair these people's mailboxes. Now, let's go ahead and say that this didn't happen, and the cop just arrested him. He had a record. He had a mug shot. This would have impacted his future. But because, and like I said, the kid's parents paid for the damage. So the people whose mailboxes were destroyed were made whole. So I think that was a good thing. And I think that type of benefit should be extended to everyone, not just privileged little white kids. Because, I mean, this was a wealthy neighborhood. The fathers had the money. And essentially people are, because I talk about this in the Left Behind class video, that once you start to get certain economic indicators like going to jail, having a prison record, your life could be screwed forever. It can be toast forever. And a lot of people don't understand this and they don't get this. But I'm telling you, I'm here to tell you that this isn't good, and this can create a lot of long-term economic carnage. It really can. But the cops, right now, we got some crazy stuff because we got the Candace Owens thing, and then we have members of the National Guard and the active duty military who are refusing to comply with these orders to attack civilians who are not doing anything. And also, I did a video where I feel that there are the peaceful protesters, and I think there's this third hand, this third party, the agitation. I think that's going on because it is just crazy how many at these protest locations that they're leaving pallets of bricks in the flashpoint spots. And that's just crazy. Because, I mean, you could go ahead and Google it. You can see that a lot of people are like, what are these bricks doing here? Why'd they leave these bricks here? It is crazy what is going on. It is insane what is going on. But Candace Owens is just she's an attractive woman. She's articulate. And she acts as a mouthpiece because when you watch the video at the Glenn Beck channel, people, Candace is real. Candace is real. Candace is so real. I love Candace. Love her. And for you to say that George Floyd was not a good person without knowing him, without being around him, that's just whack. That's just crazy. But this is one of the things that's going on in 2020, the year of the murder hornet. But that's all I got to say about Candace. Let's start talking about this economy. How'd y'all like those job numbers? 13.3% with 40 million people unemployed. But the unemployment was 14.7% with 20 million people unemployed. How does that work? Oh, it's an election year. That's how it works. It's an election year. Because I'm like, why is he lying? Because when I saw Trump say that, I was like, why is he lying? It's worse than it was last month. But, these numbers, they make them up as they go. It's kind of funny. It is funny. It is crazy. I mean, there's so much news that's going on. This is what Germany's doing right now. They're throwing new money at the economy. So it seems that Germany's unemployment rate is a little higher than it was. It's like 5.2%, which is 2% higher than it was in 2019. Why is Germany having such dramatically lower unemployment than the good old United States of America? Because Germany makes stuff. See, this is one of the foundations of this channel and things I've been talking about. Here it is in real data, the power of having a strong manufacturing base. Here it is. Germany has COVID-19. COVID-19. Remember that crazy preacher? I'm going to blow you away with the breath of God. Well, here it is. This shows you that America in the 70s and the 80s made a critical mistake. And I will submit to you guys that if we had kept our manufacturing on our shores and did not offshift to China the way that we did in Japan, that our economy would be remarkably stronger. And this is one of the reasons that our economy is so suspect. So many things happen to our economy. It's because we're a consumer-based economy. Our economy's GDP is 70% based upon consumption. That's not good. Especially right now. Right now, we are catching it. The other night, I went out and the place was packed. And it was a restaurant. But it was really interesting about this restaurant because the restaurant stands alone and the restaurant has been in business. I don't know. Let me see. Let me go ahead and look that up. The restaurant was in business before I moved to Sandy Springs. Let me see. I'm just kind of trying to find their website, trying to figure out because they actually, they actually have quite a few locations, but they're standalone. And I think they own the building, which is key. And they've been in business like at least 15 years that I know about. So I think that's one of the reasons that they were able to survive is because they owned the building. And when you own the building, that makes a huge difference in what you're doing. Makes a huge difference because so many things are possible when you own the building. I have a friend, this is real interesting. She bought the building that her business was in 2005, and she did a 20-year mortgage. She's 5 years from paying the building off. 5 years. She'll be 40 something and she'll have an asset. Because once she pays that building off, that's going to be like her business just got a raise. Because I think her mortgage was $7,500. So she's going to get a $7,500 raise in her income like that. And also the building also has, she has her business in the main section of the business in the building, and the building has 2 rentals. So she's going, I mean, it's going to be really, really nice, because if she wants to retire, I don't think she's going to shut her business down. I think she's just going to let other people run it. But this is critical. This is critical. But let's go back to the economy. Let's go back to, let me get rid of some of this stuff here. And this is another reason that Germany was doing well. How Germany is saving jobs during the pandemic. Unemployment in the United States is almost at 15%. This was written May 18th. The highest since the end of the Great Depression, but in Western Europe, things have worked out very differently during this pandemic. Tens of millions of people stopped working but didn't lose their jobs. Across the continent, employees have taken advantage of various short-term leave schemes in which the government pays their salaries until activity can resume. In most countries, these programs have existed before the arrival of COVID-19, in place to allow employers to temporarily reduce output in a downturn without firing workers. But they've been radically expanded to deal with the virus. In France, Germany, Italy, Spain, and in the United Kingdom, it's been estimated recently that over 20% of the workforce was on one of these plans. Governments are spending a lot of their own money to keep the unemployment down and make sure that paychecks continue to arrive, even if workers don't often get 100% of their normal wages, and ensures that companies can pick up where they left off after stay-at-home measures end. How come we don't have something like that here? I mean, that's a really solid question. Why don't, this is the greatest country in the world. We got this so-called booming employer, economy. We making all this money. Oh, wait. There are a handful of people making all of this money. It's not everybody that's making all of this money. So we got a small, group of people making money hand over fist, where the average person is struggling. That's kind of interesting. But ask yourself, why haven't our politicians on the Democratic side and the Republican side have not put these kind of measures in place for the American people? It's a good question, because let's go ahead. Let me do a little research. Let's just go ahead and look at European unemployment rate. Here's the European unemployment rate. This is many European countries. And it's, look at this. It's down. So this is all across Europe. And I mean, it's a good question. Why don't we have these kind of programs here in America? Why does a small business have to borrow money that, if they don't satisfy certain requirements, they're going to have to pay this money back? Why don't we have these kind of programs here? Why haven't our leadership thought of setting up the American people this way? Why hasn't this happened here? And also, I'm like, I'm kind of mixed up on the second stimulus check because, the closer that we get to election time, because essentially this is how the American people work with elections. The last 3 months before the elections is what matters. The information, the things that happen in those 3 months before the election, that's what matters. Like, Trump being all impeached, we ain't even worry about that. We ain't even worry about the high on the, we ain't even worry about that. So what the 3 months before the elections, what the economy looks like, that's what's going to be critical. And this is why Trump is trying to sell you on this 13 point. I mean, just a blatant lie. I proved that yesterday. It's just a blatant lie that I'm just sitting there like, how do you fix your mouth to even say this? And there are numerous articles saying that unemployment, because the way that they cook the books, that if they accurately reported the data, it would be at 20%. And they're still laying people off. People are still being laid off. It's crazy, man. It's crazy. What's up, people? What's up? Ben the bartender, so this guy with his knee in his neck was a better person. Wow, I know. Tracy Stevens, we all make mistakes. That's part of life. Absolutely. Bezo64. Candace is a race traitor and baiter for us to lash out at her disturbing comment. She's either first class bootleaker or she's mentally ill. I know, Ganja, I know. Candace Owens lives in the sunken place. Jesus, once the handcuffs are on, it's basically over. No need for the knee. Sophomore civilized citizens do not lose sleep over the opinions of pre-med bed wenches. I know, Ben the bartender, that shocked me. Truth told, George Floyd also spoke to inner city youth about his mistakes. I didn't know that. Ganja, I know in New York City in the 90s, and probably the cops in poor neighborhoods like to kick out taillights and give you a ticket for a broken taillight or downright accuse you of driving a stolen car. Good Lord. Steve Jameson, I saw that. That was crazy. That wasn't even him, man. Steve Jameson, yes, there's been a lot of character assassination. Saw one of the blogs. He did a porn scene, had enough. That wasn't even him, Steven. That wasn't even him. That was some other dude. George Floyd was like 6'7". This dude was much shorter. He just kind of looked like him. The art of becoming more. I had a friend who tried to tell me about his past, and I told him it doesn't matter. He was murdered, period. Pretty much. I mean, because you had, how many of us have bad past? Do we deserve to die because we've had some mistakes or lumps along the way? It's crazy. I know, Chris. I mean, probably she's going to have like 2.5 million before it's all said and done. Romeo, the clerk suspected his $20 bill was fake. It turned out to be real. Ganja, pretty much. So this man literally died over nothing. Alex, dude didn't deserve to die. He had 7 runs with police prior. Derek Chauvin and him had come into contact previously. I keep hearing that they had run-ins before. Kevin Lugman, the issue is more that George Floyd's death was about police brutality, its effects on the African Americans nationwide. That's the point Candace wants to cover up. Pretty much. I know Mama's money tree. Pretty much. That was pretty much the deal. Daniel 6'8". I didn't miss her point. Her point is irrelevant. The man died after he was arrested. The police the point that this man had he wasn't a good person. How does Candace, tell me this, Daniel 68, did she know George Floyd? Because if she didn't, that her statement was she's just talking out her ass. Because if she didn't personally know him, she couldn't say if he was a good person or not. Charlatan, she pretty much already is. Mama's money tree, people arrest guilty people all the time without killing them, pretty much. Black economics. I didn't know each state's got paid to have their shows on cops. Thank you, Cammy. Thriller AI, Candace sounds like she's jealous that a dead man is getting more attention and accolades than her. Why spitting shit on a man no longer here to defend himself? She's insecure. She's an insecure, stale Oreo cookie, pretty much. Because I'm just sitting there like, but this is who Candace is. This is what she does. It was super tacky. Cammy, very true. When I was having my home built, I walked around my subdivision. I mean, that's just normal behavior. And they tried to make it like this young man walking around like it was. I've seen it. I've done it. I've stopped at subdivisions they were building and just walked around, went through the houses. That's normal behavior. Big brother in life. This might be the death of most small businesses. It's a serious blow, man. Pretty much, Goddess. Be real. That's interesting. Candace needs a little mental help. That's interesting, Diana. Will Melvin. Trump has the emotional intelligence of the annoying drunk relative that everyone has in their family. I know, Ganja. I know, Jared. I mean, that was just tacky. Tracy, she deserves to be dragged because, first of all, when she said that, she made a choice to say it. She didn't have to say it. Kind of like what Drew Brees did and how like Drew Brees is getting dragged. Q49, that's interesting. I see profits. That was the point. They were getting away with murder, but they're starting to be. Stacey Dash. I don't even pay attention to Stacey. Ganja, I know. I've actually talked about that. These cops pushed a 70-year-old white guy to the ground. These cops have a culture problem. Absolutely. Chris F., Jesse Lee Peterson, Candace Owens, Stacey Dash, GOP love using black folks to parrot the talking points for him. I mean, because I think in this case that Candace just wanted attention, because if you saw what I saw, the man wasn't resisting arrest. The cop had his knee on his neck and he died. End of story. And all this other stuff is conjecture. Craven, and they try to paint Dallin as a one lone wolf mentality, misguided so they control the narrative and deny the truth that the worst terrorists are white supremacists. Craven, this is, the Klan is a terrorist group. And, this is something else that I learned. I don't know if you guys heard this, but Donald Trump was saying this was acts of terrorism. And this is where knowing the law and how things work. Do you know that many of these small businesses, if these acts of terrorism are classified as acts of terrorism, their insurances have clauses where they don't have to pay for the damage? Did you know that? And Trump is saying this kind of stuff. So it makes me wonder if Trump is like an agent of the Matrix or something, because if they get that this was an act of terrorism, that these small businesses insurance will not pay. Crazy. I know, man, it didn't warrant the man's death. Dowling, yes, I think so. One kill, the guy who shot all the people in the movie theater in Colorado got to give up. Thank you, Big Molder. God, there's no Chris F. Absolutely. These people don't realize they have a shelf life. I mean, yeah, you only have so long to shine. Defender, yep. I mean, with these bricks, there's clearly something else that's going on versus just these people out here protesting. James Smith, yes, we need to get the manufacturing back. Glass companies. That's funny, DeMario. Mama's Money Tree. I think certain entities want a race war perpetuated by riots so they can cancel the upcoming election by instituting martial law. Do you know that right now we're having elections and people are being voted in office right now here in Georgia? We've got serious elections. Mark Smith, I agree. Mama's Tree, those numbers were complete fiction. Absolutely. The Art of Becoming More, wasn't there an article in the Post? There was an article in the Washington Post. There was an article by Fortune. There were several articles talking about the misclassification in the data. And this is known to be a evident part of the Trump administration, because Trump doesn't like bad news. So that these people are shook, and I'm quite sure someone intentionally misclassified that information so the jobs numbers will look better for Trump to announce versus the real deal. Because if you see the video yesterday, I actually show you evidence. In April, 20.5 million people were unemployed. Unemployment was 14.7%. And now, into June, we have 42, 43, 45 million people unemployed, and unemployment goes down to 13.3%. How does that work? In what universe does that work, man? Silky touch shouldn't surprise anyone that Trump lies. I know, Rod, for real estate. Yeah, because the numbers, they're clearly cooking the books. Pretty much. Germany's still cranking out those BMWs. Stephen, yep, he does. AKW Beats. I heard about Candace a few years ago. She's been trying a bunch of things, but over the years to come up with this black conservative thing, it's just to come up and it worked. Oh, if you're a black person and you're articulate and you go to the GOP, you will blow up. Not the ref God. Mark Swift, I work in biotechnology, pharmaceutical, and most of the equipment we use is from Europe. Wow. Craven, protests are great to get your voice heard from sympathizers, but black people need to focus on the relentless push for empowerment. Let's get the hustler kung fu courses. Because that's the thing, man. That's what saved me. Calculated, anyone who runs on the manufacturing coming back to America will win the president. Calculated risk, no one is even thinking like that. What's going to happen is if the Democrats get the House and the Senate, you will see stimulus programs and you will see perhaps the first run of universal basic income. New Jersey, thanks for the $5 super chat. Candace Owens is a stupid sellout, but many of the things she said were right, but unfortunately, plus just wrong timing. And it was honest that black two-way convo is crazy. They are the size of Montana, New Mexico in population. I think. Jane Smith, where do you think Germans learn this? Germans, in my opinion, are generally industrious, organized, efficient, and enjoy building things. We could do the same. This is what we used to do, man. This is what this country used to be about. Thanks for the $5 super chat, JB. Well, consumption-based debtor are the main thesis of the Keynesian economics. Austrian School of Economics is what we used to be. Pretty much. We used to be, America had the highest GDP in the world. And in the 50s and the 60s, in the beginning of the 70s, Detroit was the second largest economy in the world. It was America, then Detroit. And we just lost it. God, the jobs were Jedi mind tricks. Pretty much. Ollie Brooks, local theaters and bars and restaurants in my city, Charlotte, have been open 5 to 80 years of closing their doors. The rest of 2021 will be very ugly for small business storefront owner. Pretty much. I would agree 100% with that. AKB, yes, the U outsold to, we sold out to Japan, then we sold out to China. Kevin Lugman, our politicians are beholden to multinational corporations. They will never do anything in favor of the American workers. I mean, it looks that way. Riddick got beats. A lot of these politicians still think we're in the 50s, 60s, and 70s, and the 80s, and they're trying to solve 2020 issues with 1955 solutions. I will agree. Jane Smith, I agree with that. Oh my God. Candace Owens looks like Supreme Leader Snoke. Jeremiah Hamilton, thanks for the $50 super chat. Appreciate you. Shout out Uncle G for guiding us to the light. We appreciate you for speaking the truth about finances. Thank you. I keep hearing that, Rod, for real estate. Rude E. Ladon. When it comes to the Floyd situation, all these riots are not over one man's death. 40% maybe for the cause. 60% of others are rioting and protesting because of the economic blow. I actually addressed that in the video because, I think the number of people truly protesting for social change are small. And then folks who are just fed up, disgusted, tired of sitting at home, want something to do. Yeah, so I agree with you. Oh, they're being sued for back rent. Stephen, the people I see enjoying the cop shows wish they were the cops and like watching fellow citizens suffers while feeding their own stereotype assumptions. I mean, if you go back to when cops came on, what did you see? White people wilding out. There was a national television show that showed white people resisting arrest, white people doing drugs, white people the social dysfunction that comes with the lower economic white class. You see this all of the time. And people like this lady fixed her mouth like, well, maybe she's an employee. This chick was looting. She was looting. Agent J. Poole, Candace can't go with somebody who's, against someone's informed. She is a GOP parrot. She does this talking point, man. Jabras, the U.S. won't enact a program like in Europe because they preach rugged individualism. Meanwhile, Hertz executives paid themselves millions in bonuses before filing for bankruptcy. Funny how that works. I tell you, that's why you want to be the boss. You want to be the boss so you can pay yourself. You can make sure you stay paid. Mark Swift, the FBI issued a report in 2006 titled White Supremacists. White supremacists have always been the cops since day one. There was no infiltration. That's the norm. Using violence to achieve a political aims is literally the definition of terrorism. JB, well, America's been about terrorism since the Boston Tea Party. When they were like throwing that tea off those ships, it was violence and they were shooting people. In our history, that is celebrated as a great moment when it was literally an act of American terrorism against the British ownership. I think insurance companies will take a huge plunge. Cosmic Wisdom, Glendon, you're right about the insurance and acts of terrorism. My investor group has an insurance guy speak about it. Unless you get a terrorism rider, your insurance won't cover the damages. And who is saying that this is terrorism? Trump. Why is Trump trying to screw small businesses? I know, Diana. Shelley Jones, Dowling Roof was taken to Burger King after his massacre. What kind of stuff? What kind of madness is that? I like Trump. He's funny, but he's in bed with the elite taking down the American economy. I mean, I'm glad you see that because it doesn't make sense what he's doing. It doesn't. Goddess, no. Candace is married. I didn't know that. I work for New York City Transit. We got a memo that bricks are being placed in strategic locations and report them when we find them. Hey, there's something going on with that. Minnie Rodriguez, I believe that. Thanks for the $20 super chat. Charlatan 19. Mark Swift. I don't think they want to do that. Remember the policeman Justman's votes assault on Auburn and Atlanta with a toilet plunger? Yeah, that the Hectorix, that to me speaks to something else. For you to take a plunger and do that to another man, that speaks to us almost a demonic force in you. Pretty much, very much fake. Line imagery, thanks for the $9 super chat. I mean, it's crazy what's going on. But that's all I got for you guys today. Be sure to go below, get 30 days to 2,500, get the Hustler's Mindset, Pimping Your Mind for Success. Go ahead and get that. And also this week, probably Thursday, I'm going to be doing a webinar for how to start making money from scratch. And there's a discount link below for that. So go ahead and jump on that. So with that, I will see you guys later.